Welcome to the legacy of the luxury. We got the holidays in pretty much full effect right now. So what better time to see how smart we are? How does that sound, buddy?
I think it sounds great, or how dumb we're going to sound in a year's time.
We'll see. And then that's part of the fun of it. So Jaron, Solomon, and I here, we are in the Solomon Brothers studios, another wonderful episode. And we are going to talk about predictions. So a lot of people do this, and I'll be honest with you, I've done it with Marketing Madmen before. I love it because there's no chance that any of these are going to be right.
No.
Right? Things change so fast. The pace is sped up so much. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through this a little bit for the luxury business, the jewelry business. We'll probably talk a little bit about marketing. But why don't you get started, Jaron? So why don't you throw out something that you think is going to happen next year, be it something that you know the best or something that you're just taking a stab at. But why don't you get it started, bud?
Yeah, so I'll throw out one that might be a little controversial. We don't like
to start?
talk about too much, but I really do think that lab-grown prices on the retail side are going to come down at least 25 to 30%.
Oh my goodness! Not only did you do a prediction, you gave a percentage. Are you crazy? You got to just give vague things. You got to throw vague things out. Okay, so
go on the big boys, go online, market today.
Okay, so let me ask you, why are you so audacious as to? I've heard a lot of people say that floor is coming, but 25% is pretty insane. What makes you so confident that that's going to happen?
Yeah, I just think that that's a mark that we're going to hit. That basically everyone can still make money, everyone can still stay in business, but it will just kind of be more appropriate. I really think where my prediction is wrong here, potentially, is that it could go even lower than that.
Yeah.
But there has to be some working itself toward the... can I cuss on here? No.
You can say whatever the F you want to, man. We'll just beep it, baby.
On these bullshit websites out there, even though it's a lot of fake news, however, the prices are very low, and then you've got your more legitimate guys, but it always affects it. So I think it's going to revert to the median basically, and we're going to have ourselves an interesting run of lab-grown loose diamonds.
Yeah,
is my prediction.
So okay, so a lot of things are going to happen when that happens, but do you think? Let's tie two predictions into one.
Sure.
Do you think that will start the process of the natural ones starting to go back up in value because we've hit that floor? Because that's what the prediction was years ago, that once a lab hits that floor, it'll make a more sustained growth of natural.
Wow.
Or is that too big of a too big?
No, you've read my mind. That was my second prediction.
Oh shit, we've been doing this too long. We've been doing this too long already.
It is my prediction that natural diamonds will go up a minimum of 10%. So you have heard your economic advisor here.
Got it.
On the pod that is saying, hey, buy natural diamonds. But I do think they're going to go up. We already saw them stabilize. We already saw 2 price increases, very small, but we saw them.
Yep.
We hadn't seen that in over 2 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I also think if we're going to take external forces, that the price of gold, I think it still has a little wiggle room, but I think eventually it's going to start to come down, which will make diamond prices feel more comfortable to go up a little bit. They have to catch each other at some point.
I agree.
And I think, what I find fascinating, and I'll throw out a prediction here.
All right.
I'm going to say that I think, unfortunately for people, fortunately for us, I guess, but the yellow gold craze is going to continue. It's just so prevalent. People have spent so much money on yellow gold. The thick, the bezel set, there's so much of it that feels like you have this like 50s, 60s kind of retro comeback of yellow gold. So I expect that trend to continue irregardless of the price. And I actually think that because the way the luxury, the market is kind of going where the uber luxury is kind of separating, gold will be something that is only attainable to the wealthy, which will make it further separate itself out. And I think that trend continues. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I think yellow gold has one more year to go of the thicker, we're seeing it right now, of the thicker bands on the engagement rings and the wedding bands and the cigar bands and all that kind of stuff. So I think that we went through the really dainty yellow phase.
Yep.
We're actually moving into the chunkier yellow phase.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it's one more year of yellow, 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 and then we'll probably start moving out to platinum, again in 2027, I guess. So,
yeah. So, and just for my own edification, do those trends, because it seems like there's a lot less red gold now and some of the other colors. So it seems like it's going to go yellow to white. Do you see other colors being there? Does it usually follow these trends where red seemed like it was hot for a little while and then it's pulling back out?
Yeah, no, so I mean, the only thing we really see that's hot that isn't white or yellow is in the men's bands, where you can get that darker gray gold.
Cool. They're cool.
Which is really cool. It's a precious metal, so you can size it, you can work with it. It's one of my favorite men's bands in the case. If I was in the market today, it's actually what I would probably get.
Yeah, I'm getting one this holidays because this tungsten ring for $40 on Amazon that I'm wearing right now isn't cutting it apparently for the industry, so I'm going to have to fix that.
No, so I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think gray gold, and then I think you'll see some gray gold coming into jewelry in itself, especially men's jewelry. But yeah, yellow gold's going to take the cake for sure.
Yeah. Well, I really just completely made that one up, so maybe I'm learning. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, so one of the things you and I previously were talking about, I don't want to say the word sustainability because I think it has the wrong stigma to it, but this upcycling, this recycling, this economy of there's so much gold out there. So I think from packaging to what people want to go and they're buying used clothes and they're washing them, I think that's going to creep its way into the business. And I think the ones that can better use repurchasing and recycled metals are going to do well. And I think we're only at the very tip of this trend starting.
Right.
And I think when people realize, two things. One, because it's still a traded good, which gold is, that even the used prices, it doesn't matter. It's still the price of gold.
Yeah.
But as far as the resources and what it takes to make it and build this stuff, I think that there's going to be a huge focus of emphasis on that.
I totally agree. And I would definitely say that, while we get into this next generation, basically our grandparents, essentially, it is kind of that generation that, was starting to buy jewelry later in life.
For sure.
Not the beginning.
For sure.
And they're passing down these pieces. So I think the amount of availability of whether it's people wanting to sell it, whether they want to repurpose it, like you just said, there's no doubt that is going to be a huge trend going forward. And, for us, I think we do a great job because we have such use for it.
Yeah.
And then we can, smelt it and basically, use it with our sizing stock. And, so, I mean, it's really, the companies that can refine and do it the right way, I think are way ahead of the game, which we are.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit because when we say we're ahead of the game, like you go back into our lab, I'm going to call it, because really you're talking about it's alchemy. They're mixing metals with liquids and they're polishing and they're all this stuff. So what I love about it is that you can you could sell us your gold. You can repurpose it into something else. You can take a piece from here and make it into here. So I think one of the things that I've learned about ultra luxury is for a long time, I think people wanted the experience to be curated for them. Yeah. But I think we're going to leave a little bit from that and people are going to want to take a little bit more charge of the way they build things because it's going to have, look, when you get to a certain level, luxury becomes luxury for everybody. Yeah. So what is that hyper customizable? What is that emotional connection? And I don't think you can make that with just a piece of jewelry that you're buying out of a shelf. I think it takes a little bit more of that custom. So I think as we go, recycling, upcycling, all that stuff's going to be huge. But also, I'm starting to see a lot of people when they go on vacation to bring back just stones, and they're asking us to build something out of the stones. I think it's that we don't want to just wildly spend money on these experiences. We want to have something to take away from them and something that could be eternal. And I think that's where jewelry, I think artwork's really good too, but I think jewelry does a really good job of that. So I think that's going to, that luxury experience is going to go a little bit more away from just being a part of the experience to taking something out of the experience.
I totally agree. And I'd like to throw out another prediction then.
Please do.
Because this is something that you and I have been looking into and we've been, a lot of the experience online. But I think by the end of 2026, you are going to be able to actually see your ring created in the store on the spot through an AI generated, type of image. I don't know how good the image is going to be. You don't have any predictions there for me. I'm sorry. But I think you're going to be able to sit in Solomon Brothers or sit in a jewelry store and actually be like, oh, I want this to go east-west. I want it to be in a bezel. I want it to have green emeralds on the side with my white diamond. And you're actually going to be able to talk that into existence, see it in front of you, and really have a very cool consumer experience where you're walking out of the store being like, oh, I have a really good vision. Today, I had it happen literally earlier today. I said to the customer, listen, let me draw this up for you and let me show it to you later. I think by the end of next year, I'm going to be able to do that with her at the case.
I love it.
Right in front of her.
I love it. Well, then I'll take this one. I can't make this prediction for next year, but this is okay. I'm going to say in the next 24 months, Not only that, we will have a set of Meta glasses in this store where you can design it and then you can go like this and it'll be on your finger. Mm-hmm. The reason that we won't do it is because the tech is too new and it would cost too much money for a subpar experience.
Right.
So we are not in a place where we can be the first adopters, nor do we need to be.
No.
But we're in a place where that technology starts to it. We are in the best position to watch it succeed,
right.
Mostly because I'll be coding it myself in case anyone's curious. And I'm really curious to see because I think it would be really cool because everyone's got that online shopping for jewelry is a terrible experience, right? It's all renderings. It's trying to make it look as shiny. It never looks like that. But all of a sudden, if you can make that CAD rendering yourself, see it virtually, and then see it on your finger from all angles, I think now you're cooking with gas. So it won't happen next year. I think we might be at the forefront. We might be starting some stuff where maybe on your phone or with augmented, but I'm talking about with those glasses on where you can go like this and you'll see it on your finger. Yeah. I think 24 months for that. And I think another reason I'm avoiding it is because you don't want it to feel gimmicky. This is not a gimmick. This is a practical evolution of a product, especially what if you can bring in a picture of your wife's hand and an engagement ring for a husband to see what it looks like. There's so many applications. Yeah. So I want it to be purely functional because we don't need to trick people into buying anything. No. We want to make that experience as everlasting as possible. So I think that's 24 months.
You used a great word there, practical. And I think that it will actually be a practical solution for people to see inventory on their hand physically, because you're never going to be able to see what really truly a physical piece. What does the yellow look like on my skin tone? You can already see it, on models, on sites, and all that kind of stuff. But having the physical one, but then being able to say, oh, well, when's if we made the diamonds a little bigger?
Yep.
Well, now you can actually bring that to life. So I totally agree with you.
Well, that'll bring us to another segue by accident that we just did. I think that this year upcoming will be a return to practicality. I think that as the generation passes to the millennials, as these baby boomers hand money down, I think millennials are one of the first of all, a couple of things. The millennials were the first generation upcoming that was born without technology. Like, yes, I have a cell phone, but I also had a landline where on Napster, I had to dial in and take my parents' phone line when they were not answering it, dial in, and it took all night to download one song. So I remember that. So I had to do that and then burn CDs and then illegally sell them to kids at the school for whatever. But the point is that I think the millennials are very good, practical. They understand utility. Yeah. So I think that's going to make its way in, which is why I love gold and platinum. It is so practical. You can wear it, clean it. You don't have to be as gentle on it as perception is. It's not dainty. It's actually built to last and just wipe down and go over again. So I think I really like when I talk about how we've been fad free. I really like that this is not a trend, that the jewelry, people are going to go back to, they want a story, they want precious, they want all that stuff, but that utility is going to be really, really, really important. And I see that as a trend moves forward as millennials make themselves into that next generation that owns all that money.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's definitely nice. I talk about it all the time, the basics, right? The staples in the jewelry box. And the reason that I say that is not because they're boring and not just because they're timeless. It's just that you actually have a lot of utility out of it.
Yeah.
If you ever get tired of a diamond tennis bracelet, well, guess what? You've got 52 diamonds to do something with.
Yeah.
We can make an eternity band out of that. Yeah. We can make a pendant out of that. We can make studs out of that. You just have it to all go around, and then guess what? You still have all the gold from the tennis bracelet. So that's just an easy example. But when you're buying stuff like gold and like platinum, always usable, and I totally agree that that's where it's going.
So I put a poll out on LinkedIn because I was so pissed off while I was putting my Christmas lights on. I'm going to ask you the poll right here because I know you don't use your LinkedIn at all. Okay, so if I was to tell you that the circuits in Christmas lights are actually Chinese microchips that actually turn off half the set 364 days after you plug them in the first time, would you be shocked? Tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist, say absolutely, or say why are you putting your Christmas lights up so early?
Probably conspiracy theory.
Okay, so everything that is built nowadays is built to shut down and break, so you have to buy something new. It is the core of our capitalist culture. Not even the Chinese that are leading it. This is just everything we make. Do you remember when the Germans had the scandal where they were juicing the actual gas mileage? Do you remember when Apple actually was setting the battery after 5 years to die quicker automatically, so you had to go out and buy a new one?
Nick, I swear to you, this is the truth.
Please do.
I said it yesterday. My iPhone never gets into the red for battery. I'm not a red battery guy. I charge my iPhone. I plug it in every time I get in the car. I just don't, I'm not scrolling. I'm not an Instagram guy. So I literally said, I think I would like the iPhone 17. I swear the next day, it goes into the red.
And I bring this all up to say that the next thing that I'm proud of, that I think the prediction is going to put us in a position to succeed, is that transparency is going to become more and more important. Yeah. I think that the concept of trust is so broken between our financial institutions, between our politicians, that everything we do is a double down on transparency. I cannot wait until we knock that wall down in Buckhead to have the repair bay open. Yeah. I love that we have it in Sharpsburg. You see it in real time. You see all this stuff happening. I think transparency is going to become more and more and more and more and more important. And I mean real transparency. Everyone says they're transparent, right? But I think that's going to be huge.
No, listen, being able to say it killed me in Buckhead when we just layout wise had to get rid of it. But what Nick is talking about in our Sharpsburg location and our Alpharetta location, you can see the jewelers working right there. When you're getting a ring size, you can see them sizing your ring. It's not that we just charged for it. It didn't go in a bay, not to do any car, knock on car people, but it's like, my truck goes in, they put it up, and like I have no idea where it is or what's going on. They could just be sitting back there doing nothing. So it's nice to be able to see our jewelers working. We're going to be able to see that in Buckhead. And it's very thought-provoking because I want to be as transparent as humanly possible because our industry itself has always been a trust industry. Yeah. So, because, someone out there that's listening might say, well, Jaron, how do I even know the diamond is a diamond, right? Yeah. How do I know it's not a lab-grown diamond or what it is? So I totally agree with you on the transparency aspect, and we'll have to find a way to make it even more comfortable for people.
And the best part is that when that happens and the consumers reward the transparency, everyone starts being more transparent. And like there's ebbs and flows, right? There was some time where we really got into that mode where we were like, we're here for you. And it was really like a trust-based economy. Yeah. Unfortunately, the past couple of years with economic turmoil and COVID, we've gotten a little bit more to a market-based economy where price is the sensitivity. Yeah. But I definitely envision, and I hope that users can reward that transparency. I read yesterday about the millennial trap, which was you get something like Netflix, it's $6.99, and then before the time you're hooked all of a sudden, now it's $35.99 before you even freaking snap your fingers. Right. And it was a purposeful plot to get you into this. I hope that there's a revolt against that stuff and people actually start paying for the things that provide value and joy to them. Yeah. And hopefully jewelry like what we have does that.
Did YouTube actually get rid of ESPN, or did Disney just pay them for a couple of weeks to say people will sign up for the Disney app?
I think you bring up a good point. Actually, my understanding it was a negotiation tool because YouTube actually wanted to drop the price of one of their tiers, so it's just a sports package, and ESPN was making it hard on them to do that, so they negotiated on a price, and now YouTube will offer a cheaper price for just sports guys. Because honestly, that's the only time I turn my YouTube TV on. Like, there's nothing on television I'm watching. Zero. There's nothing on television that I'm watching except a live sporting match. Nothing.
Yeah. Listen, I got used to it. I mean, Disney Plus, no free ads over here, but Hulu, ESPN, Disney, what do you need YouTube TV for?
It's a heck of a package. All right, so can I throw a marketing one out there? Because I just feel like we've gone, and then what we're going to do,
let's do it.
I don't know if you're ready for this, but I'll give you some time. We're going to pick the next Super Bowl winner, Stanley Cup winner, NBA champion, and the NFL we're going to pick all that stuff after this. So here's your one marketing one. We've been talking about transparency. The difference that's going to happen, all of the media salespeople, everything is going to become commoditized like a stock exchange, and you will be buying everything from a dashboard programmatically online. It's already set in motion. The competitive advantage of having the best times disappear because of the way that you can buy now. You can literally go in and buy, not the TV shows that you want, but the TV shows that the month before have showed you the highest conversions and the networks. So the act of a salesperson, unfortunately, and I'm saying this as an ex-media salesperson, are going to disintegrate. Now, that being said, relationships still matter. And the one thing a computer cannot do is provide a relationship. So for the time being, trust the right people, go with good partners. But I see you're going to see a really fast increase. And at the same time, it's going to be a race to the bottom because once you do that, it's a commodity. And the only thing that makes a commodity is price sensitivity. Yeah. So, okay. I know what you're going to say, so I'll skip you if this one. I will just make a prediction that Ohio State will not win a second national championship in a row. I think it's too hard to do. And I think that somebody from the SEC will win the national championship in college football this year. How about you?
Yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
championship.
All right, we'll move on. And he's saying that because this year we're heavily invested in the Dogs, so them winning is good for business. So let's hope that.
Invested.
Let's hope that. All right, Super Bowl. This is a harder one, man.
This is hard. The league is, I mean, there's always been a ton of parity, but it's interesting seeing, the big boys losing. But boy, what I would love to see the Pittsburgh Steelers make a run.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no chance. Aaron Rodgers is out. They don't have a real quarterback. So that was wishful thinking, but good for you for trying. I have to give it to the Detroit Lions, only because that every piece in that team is so well situated to win. And if they don't now, they're going to be back in the dumpster after that because they paid everybody so much money. So I think this is the year for the Lions. I think Detroit, if anyone ever needs it, I think it's Detroit. Okay, so I know you're not a huge NBA guy, but what do you think about the NBA?
Listen, I like our chances to make a little run in the playoffs for my Atlanta Hawks.
The Hawks will.
I think that their team is actually very, very good. And if they can figure out how to get Trae Young involved when he's back and ready to roll, then I think we're going to have a real shot this year.
Unpopular opinion, and I am a Knicks fan, so this is really unpopular for me to say. I think Oklahoma City runs it back. Yeah. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player in the league, and I think that they put these pieces around him that they're deep. Anyone can go off at any point, and I just think they're built to win. So I hate repeats. I absolutely do. But I think it's that. What else did we say we were going to do? NHL, you know what? To be honest with you, if the Rangers suck, I don't pay attention. So the Rangers suck. So what about
baseball? Get a team in Atlanta.
Let's get a team in Atlanta. Let's go for that. Last thing I will say, Dodgers will not win a championship. I think the Braves are back in the World Series next year.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I think the Braves are back in the World Series next year. I think everybody else is really old, and the youth and the team that the Braves have put together, I don't think it wins 5 years from now, but I think right now is their prime time to win. So, all right, bud, how do we do? Those are some pretty strong predictions.
Listen, I'm too much of a homer for predictions, and I'm a glutton for punishment. So,
Fair.
You know what? Raheem Morris, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, good luck at the unemployment line because he sucks. He sucks. Raheem, I'm sorry, bud.
Yeah.
All right, well, after that, you've been listening to The Legacy of Luxury. We will catch you next week, and we're going to do New Year's resolutions because after we talked about what everyone else did wrong, we're going to talk about what we did wrong, which is not going to be pretty. So you've been listening to Legacy of Luxury. We'll catch you next time.